I had, a vision of what my life was going to be like at 29 years old. Kids were not it yet because I wanted to be financially independent. And you're having a kid. We're rocking the baby in the middle of the night. And I was upset. I was angry at the baby. And I remember just thinking like, something's wrong with me.
I had my daughter when I was 21, super young. Like at that time in my life, I was just like skateboarding, like drinking with my friends. Like then Grace, my daughter, was born. I actually had somebody tell me that your life as you know it is gone. Never to return, but they're going to learn how to walk, and they're going to learn how to talk, and they're going to be like the most joyous things you're ever going to have in your life.
In the past 6 years, I've had 5 failed businesses and 1 pretty successful one. 5 failures, and I fell on my face.
It's hard to build stuff just in general. It's hard to have a family. It's hard to be a provider. I think a lot of times people don't really understand that.
Right when you're in the position of giving up, you just withstand. You don't know when success will happen. Even if I have to suffer and endure this for 10 years, I am willing. I knew something else was possible, but I just didn't know when it was going to hit. And then it hit, dude.
Welcome to the JV Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Vasquez. Are you interested in going to one of the biggest and baddest real estate investor conferences on the planet? Well, you're actually in luck because I'm holding the Midterm Rental Summit April 27th to the 29th in the beautiful city of San Diego. We're going to have over 800 qualified investors showing up to learn all about midterm rentals. If you're super interested in doing this, I suggest you should come because you're going to be learning from special people like Dan Martell, Pace Morby, Amy Majuri, Fiona McIntyre, and many others. Oh, and don't let me forget, Noble Crawford Government Contracts. This is going to be an event you're going to want to go to. Tickets are selling fast. We don't have many left. I'm going to leave the link for that down below. Please check it out. You're definitely going to want to be there if you want to build a successful midterm rental business. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the JV Pod. I am super stoked because I had my friend Fernando Corona on today, and we dove into a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily talk about on this podcast often. We talked about things that had to do with our families and raising kids, and we also talked about what the hardships that come along with men that are providing for their families and how sometimes that can be super difficult to endure. We also talked about real estate, which is something that I love. But this conversation really, if you're struggling with anything in your life right now, we actually talk about some of the struggles him and I both have had and how we've been able to pull ourselves out of these specific type of struggles. And that could be financially, it could be relationships, all those things. But this conversation definitely is something that I believe you guys will find a tremendous amount of value in. I felt like I was just sitting down having a conversation with somebody, and it didn't feel like a podcast. It didn't feel like we were interviewing anybody. But again, I just was able to really get a solid conversation about hardships and growth and business. And, Fernando does his own loans and he teaches other people how to do loans themselves. So you don't have to rely on, a loan originator to do all these things, which is pretty cool to have a business. We also talk about what it's like to lose everything and then have to rebuild again, and how there's actually a beauty in starting over. And again, I think you guys are going to find a conversation to be extremely powerful. Just do me a favor. Please share this with somebody that you love or care about. But I would love to get more people on this podcast that, obviously want to show up to be on this podcast. But I want to get in front of more people and have more conversations that are just like what you guys are going to hear today. So if you can do anything for me, go leave a comment, go leave a review on this podcast, wherever you're watching it, Spotify, YouTube, any of the platforms. So check it out. I'm going to stop talking. We're going to jump right into it right now with Fernando Corona. So Fernando, when I first met you, we were actually just talking about this offline a second ago, talking about our kids, and Fernando's got two girls. And when I first met you, man, you came into the class probably 2021, probably 2022 maybe. And now your kids are getting older, and we were just talking about how, I have a daughter that's 21 right now. And Fernando thought I was like 35, which thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm in my 40s already.
You do look young, man. I will say that. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, but man, I do the skincare routine, 7 layers of different skincare stuff. That's why it's working right now, I think. But what I was trying to say is like, bro, I'm like, your daughter's ages right now are so like, I remember my daughter being that age. And then to fast forward now, it happens so fast, dude. And I think you said something a minute ago, which I want to go back to. Actually, you didn't say it. This is me talking to myself in my head. When I was 21,
I said it.
We talked about this offline. I had my daughter when I was 21, super young, like just trying to figure it out. You talked about how you had your daughter during COVID at 29 and how that was really hard to figure out. And I've always been the kind of person that figures things out quick. And at that time in my life, I was just like skateboarding, like smoking pot every day, like freaking waking baking and like drinking with my friends. Like that was like what I had going on. There wasn't anything that was positive that was coming from that. Then Grace, my daughter, was born, and it literally just got me into like, this is not about me anymore. Like I got to continue to like, I have to provide for a little human that's like here and reliant on me. And, I think that right there, dude, it forced me into realizing that, first off, I'm not living for myself. Like there's a bigger pleasure in life than that's like fulfilling for other people. Like you're doing more for others than you are for yourself. I think that's always been a thing for me. But also I feel like in my life, maybe you could talk about this too with your life, that sometimes things will happen for a reason. And I think I could have been one of those guys at that time that, you know, was getting a kid, because I had friends that would do this and be like, man, I can't believe this is happening to me and this is fucking crazy and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't want this kid. And like, I didn't have that mentality at all. I was just like, this is awesome. Like, I'm super stoked about it. Yes, my life is not in order right now, but I'm going to figure it out. And I think that right there, dude, is like this, it's almost like these, because I've always had people ask me like, are you ready for, like, were you always an entrepreneur? I wasn't selling freaking baseball cards to kids in like third grade. You know, I hear those stories all the time. And Gary Vee's like,
Yeah.
I was selling baseball cards at 3 years old on the playground. I wasn't that guy.
You weren't that guy. You weren't selling wheels. You weren't selling skateboard decks or decking them out or doing things for people. You weren't monetizing the skateboard industry.
No, bro. You know what I was? I thought about this the other day a lot. I was people's biggest cheerleader. I don't know if you ever skateboarded in your life, but there's like this culture where it's like there's people that are skateboarding, they're really, really good. There's people that suck like really bad and they're just not going to really ever be good. I was in the middle.
Yeah. You could ollie on top of sidewalks.
I could ollie, I could kickflip, 360 flip, do all that stuff. I was pretty good, but like I was really like positive towards other people. Like, go do that stair set, you can do it. I'd smack my board on the ground. Like, I was hyping people up all the time. And I think that was like a good thing for me. But yeah, man, kids are like, they come quick and they age very fast. Time is not forgiving. It doesn't care. Yeah. But yeah, talk to me about that, man. When we first started investing was probably back in that time. And you've kind of morphed things around a little bit. Do you want to introduce yourself to the crew too, to the people out here?
Yeah. So in 2020, my wife is the one, or she was my girlfriend at the time, and she had the money. So you talk about, you know, getting private money. You can go to girlfriends, and but I was like developing the skill set and investing in myself in masterminds like yours. And I just told her like, hey, would you consider going out of state? Because we live in California. And there was nothing was penciling in California with the capital that we had access to, right? And with everything that was possible. So we said we might have to go out of state. And we ended up going out of state, buying our first property in Atlanta, Georgia. It was $165,000. Doesn't exist right now. And
what is it now there right now, Fernando? 165 then, 2020. What is it now? Same property?
Probably 100K over, 270.
270?
Yeah, 270 right now. And then that property has generated like 20K a year net, which has been really nice.
Pretty awesome.
So yeah, it was like a 30%, 35 or something like that, cash on cash ROI. We were super stoked on it. And then I tell this as a funny joke. A year later, we got married and we had our kid and everything. So like this was a long-term buy and hold for sure. It's because we invested together. And we got married. And so then from there, we ended up getting 3 more properties, and that's been working out. But the entrepreneurial journey and having kids, I can't say I was. It's been a little brutal for sure. And so I love that your mindset to say like, I had a kid, and then I was like super gung ho about it. Like, let's just figure it out. So you never, and this is, you never had any, even after the baby was born, you never had any resentment that you had to work through.
No.
Nothing, huh? That's really, really cool. That's impressive.
I think that was from, you're Hispanic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Habla español? Sí, habla español? Yeah. Okay, cool. So like, I just watched my dad grind my whole life. So like, I looked at that and I was like, I got to do the same thing. Like my dad was like the epitome of what you would consider a Hispanic Mexican man that like serves his family, like goes to a job, busts his ass, hates it, continues to do it anyway. And it's not for him, it's for everybody else. So I had that like burned into me, bro. So like I couldn't.
That was after you had the kid, not before.
I've always been the kind of person that is always very like open to like how my parents raised me. Like my mom came from another country. Like I don't know if your parents immigrated here or not.
Yeah, they both came from Mexico. Where is yours?
My mom was from Durango.
Okay.
Yeah, Durango, cool. Mexico. So she came here. My dad was actually born here, lived in Merced, a small little podunk town in for those of you that know Merced, it's like an agriculture city, but grew up here, but met my mom. Like my mom was walking down the road, dude. Like this is like 1967. Walking down the road, my dad sees this chick outside and he's like, "Oh, hey, what's going on? Like, how you doing?" My mom spoke Spanish.
No, for real? That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So he went over to her and just started talking to her. He didn't know how to speak Spanish, even though he's Mexican. So, a lot of people like that Mexican, they don't know how to speak Spanish. Those are called, what are they called? Coconuts. They're brown on the outside and white on the inside. So, yeah, that's what it's called. Anyway, he ended up meeting my mom. And so I just always had this like affinity towards my dad and like going out and hustling and like the stories that he would tell about like, being a 9-year-old. Cause my dad had 10 siblings, Fernando. So he was the kid that was the eldest. So he'd go out and like work literally at 9 years old, picking fruit and stuff. And, like you see a lot of Hispanic folks doing. And he was bringing that cash back to the house so that his family could eat. He always had that mentality going through. So like I watched that and I've always was like, it didn't hit me till I had my daughter though, bro. Like it wasn't like that. Like, this is what your dad did. And I just had so much like,
because the responsibility wasn't passed on to you at a young age.
Oh, hell no, not at all. No,
but in a good way. And that's probably a good thing too. And I'm imagining as parents, sometimes we don't want our kids to go through as much of the, stuff we had to go through. So I'm assuming maybe your dad thought like that, or were you just like,
yeah. Well, I think my dad just kind of showed and didn't tell. Like he was one of those, I think a lot of Hispanic men, older men are like that, where like they'll show you what they're doing and not necessarily tell you. Yeah. The Hispanic moms are always like, you do that, do this. And the dad's just like, we're showing by example. So I think that I just kind of absorbed that from my dad. But anyway, after my daughter was born, I started to realize like my dad is like literally here to make sure that I'm able to do things that I need to do. Like that's what his entire job was on this earth. Educated guy, Fernando, went to college, got a biology degree, like insanely educated, worked at Foster Farms. In fact, he was one of the guys that worked, you remember when chickens used to be pumped full of antibiotics and like everybody knew about it, like in the 90s?
Okay, I heard about it, but yeah, I was just to be clear, I was born in the 90s, So, but yeah, I was.
Yeah, Fernando's a little bit younger than me, but yeah, he in the 80s and 90s, even before that, my dad worked. He retired from this place, but it was called Palm Experimental. It was a lab that was basically like in the middle of nowhere, where scientists. My dad was a scientist. He would give chickens different types of antibiotics and different types of stuff to get them to grow faster. So they would obviously get the chickens out.
You get the chickens faster. You can control production.
Exactly. So my dad was part of that whole journey, which obviously is not what it is now. People are looking for like free range and they don't want to have the antibiotics, pumped into animals anymore, which obviously I get that. But so I just watched him go to work like at a job he didn't like. It was really hard for him to do stuff. It was both a analytical and a physical job. So he did both, which was like, he would actually like move chickens around, weigh them and all this stuff, and then also do like the diagnostic type things on the pets. But anyway, I don't want to make this story about me. I know it sounds like you're a podcast, like you're interviewing me right now, Fernando.
Hey man, I mean, everybody who listens to this, just to be clear, I'm sure everybody would agree with me. Like, we want to be more connected to you. Your story is what makes you unique, dude. So like me, the fact that I get to witness this in a podcast, like I'm stoked. Just leave it like that. And then I'll let you go. But you were going to get to how something happened when your daughter was born.
Yeah.
What happened?
Dude, it was just this like light switch moment. Flipped on. I'm just like, it is not about me anymore. Like, it's not about me going out partying and doing all that stuff. Like, I have to be able to provide. Like, that's what my dad did. He did it regardless whether he liked it or not. So that whole kind of like innate qualities that my father had, like, just came to me. Like, it was like burned into me already. So I just knew that that's what I had to do. And I've always been able to take like situations very quickly and lightly and like absorb them and move on and like, okay, now we're going to move along, which I think is really great for business in a lot of ways. You're just making quick decisions. You're moving along. You're not staying hung up in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of was like, this is it. All right. Like this is what I got to do. And this is how I continue to push forward. And here we are today, which is crazy. My daughter's 21, which again, going back to your kids, like, dude, spend as much time with them as you can.
1 and a 4-year-old. Yes, I am.
Take as many pictures as you can, bro. Video everything. Like, do all that, dude.
And I bought the Meta glasses, by the way, so that I can easily do that. So these Meta glasses have.
Are those the Ray-Bans?
Yeah, the Ray-Bans.
Those are sick. Yeah, put them on. Let me see. We'll be twins right now. You're just the slimmer, more handsome version of me. There it is. Like, that was me back in like 1997. There you go, Fernando.
Jesse. What's up, dude? What does mine say? So yeah, if I just click this little button right here, it takes a photo.
What about recording? Can you record too?
Yeah, if I hold it. then it starts to record and it's just like shining. So I'll post this on my Instagram. Say what's up, Jesse.
What's up, dude?
What's up? All right.
That's so
That's it.
dope.
So
I
they
love
work.
that, man. That is the coolest thing. Ray-Ban glasses. Go get those on. We're gonna leave a link for Fernando's Amazon account. We're gonna.
No, so that you're absolutely right. Main reason I got those is because I wanted to be just capturing moments quicker with my kids, and then I use that for content, anyways. So that was the biggest reason why. So you're absolutely right. I think for me though, and my wife's right here, and I told her one day I'm gonna have to share this journey because I'm past it now. I'm happy to say I'm past it, but I was the opposite. I had, a vision of what my life was going to be like at 29 years old, and kids were not it yet. Yeah. And because I wanted to be financially independent. Everybody wants to be in a position that they're not in, right? Anything that prevents you from being to that position, I'm going to say for me, right? That made me resentful. And like, if my goal was, 10 real estate properties, I'm making money, I can, pour it into this, I'm raising capital, blah, blah, blah. Wait. You're having a kid. Yeah. Snaps.
Like, so all that's put on pause.
It felt like it a little bit, definitely. And so now, again, listening to certain podcasts that haven't necessarily gone through this, they'll tell you want to go to sleep at 9, wake up at 5:30, do your morning rituals and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. Cause this is what I want to do. So I'm going to sleep at 9, then I'm waking up at 11, then I'm waking up at 1, and then again at 3, and again at 5, because we got to feed the baby and the baby's crying. And my wife's going through a lot of stuff. And so I can't just be like, yeah, you take care of it. That's not the type of person that I was going to be, even though some nights definitely was. I'm not going to say that I was perfect, but sometimes I was like, and one time I knew that I needed help. And so this is for the guys or the parents or the dads that might have not had your experience where we're rocking the baby in the middle of the night and we're upset. I was upset. I was angry at the baby. Yeah. And then I was like, and I remember just thinking like, something's wrong with me right now. Yeah. Like, this isn't right. Like this baby just came in. She did nothing wrong. Why am I feeling so angry? So then from there, obviously sought therapy, went to go look for help because I knew I wanted to be a better dad. And so that's how that journey started. And 2 years later, I will say it's not an easy journey to shift my beliefs. And then 2 years later, I would say like right now, we ended up having our second baby. And now when I hold my baby to put her to bed, I think I got to relive that experience of the baby. And now I'll be like, oh, babe, you're putting the baby to bed? Like, let me put the baby to bed. And I'll kind of ask to rock her to bed. Yeah. And I want to hold her a little bit more. Yesterday, I was working late at night and we have 2 kids now. Both kids end up waking up. My wife calls me in. Hey, can you help me out? I go in. I'm like, no problem. Pick up the baby. And I just remember feeling like I don't have resentment. Like I'm happy. I can feel the happiness inside of me. So I got to experience that joy of holding a baby and thinking like, how lucky am I to be able to have this experience? And so it was a transition. I can't say that was the mindset forever. And I'm happy to be like talking to you with the mindset that I have now, which is stoked. So that's
I want to add to that because I think that what you're saying, I actually did go through that. I think where I was trying to go was like, because my idea, I want to take you back to where I was at in my head at that age. Okay. So at 20, I'm getting goosebumps talking about this because I love conversations like this because they're not talked about often, and men always like keep these kinds of things in and don't really talk about these things out loud. And I think it's important to have these conversations. But because you frame your life of what you think it's going to be. And like for me at that age, dude, like my goal was to like go to Santa Cruz and like, work in a skate shop or something and like be around music scene, which was, in San Francisco, where I was going all the time. And like, so I had this like peripheral vision of what my life was supposed to be. And a child, just so everybody knows, a child is 300. Let me look at this. I was just looking it up a second ago as you were talking. From the age of 0 to 18, a child to raise a child, you're looking at about $310,000. Like that's what the average is. Yeah, $310,000. So at that time in my life, dude, I was working at freaking Walmart in the photo lab, making probably $600 every 2 weeks, $1,200 a month.
What? What year is this? 19 what?
2000.
2000?
Yeah, probably when you were born, bro. And
No, not that long ago. But yes, I hear you. I hear you. So 2000.
yeah, so I had that same thought too, where I was like, I knew I was going to have a baby and I was excited about it, but I was also like, this is changing the way that I feel about everything. Like, I'm not going to be able to go do the things that I want to do. And like,
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about financial stuff. I was more thinking about like me. I was so
Right.
self-centered of
That's exactly it.
my own ideas of what my own peripheral vision was looking like. And at 21, like, honestly, it's hard to even have a vision of what you want to do. I think there's like, you got to try a lot of things and like, you're all of a sudden forced into like, this is your life.
But it was serving yourself. I think the concept's there. You wanted to serve yourself. We weren't ready. For me too. I was ready to serve myself. I was not ready to serve someone else so unconditionally. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, it is what I'm saying. But also, like at that age, I mean, I'm just giving you 21 and at 29. Like, I think there's a lot of growth that happens there. But I also think when you have a kid, it's like you almost develop a new brain and you start to think about things in a different way. And it doesn't happen overnight. Like, it literally takes years, like to expand. And there's probably got to be some literature on this that when you do have a child, like it's an immediate, like, okay, cool. Like you see your baby for the first time. Like I remember exactly what Grace looked like the second she was born. And you'll start to kind of change the way you see things in the future. But I think that first like 0 to 5, 6 years old, like you're dealing with overnight stuff. Like at that time, my wife like stayed home and, I worked. So we had like super gender role kind of stuff.
Yeah. So that was, dude, that we can talk about that too, man. That in itself is like becomes the roommate situation. And that's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's tough. But I always, again, going back to what I talked about before, like my mom stayed home, my dad worked. So like I had that in my head. It was already there. Like I didn't want to have to pay to, babysitters. Cause like even back in those days, it was pretty expensive and just like all your money would go to that. And I thought it was better. But my grandma or her grandma, which is my mom, was around and all that stuff. Hopefully you have your kids. But anyway, I think that tough process of just kind of getting through that you're serving somebody else and you have to be there. And this is what I actually wanted to say. And I'm making this a long-winded conversation now.
Let it out, man. Let it out. This is what we're here for.
I think we think that we need to have everything figured out right away. And when you get thrown these kind of curveballs, I'm calling it a curveball because it's like a life-changing moment. Like you can't
Your life is never going to be the same again. Right.
And dude, that was the first that I actually had somebody tell me that. They were like, they pulled me aside and they're like, hey, your life as you know it is gone, never to return, but they're going to learn how to walk and they're going to learn how to talk and they're going to be like the most joyous things you're ever going to have in your life.
Yeah.
I didn't get that then. That didn't make sense to me then. Mm-hmm. But now we fast forward now 20 years, 21 years, whatever that is, like that was the best advice I probably could have got. And I didn't take it. I didn't even hear it.
You didn't understand it. Yeah. There's another saying on that where it's change isn't the problem. It's the resistance to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And right there, that was such a massive change. I just got the goosebumps right now. It hit me on the back because that's to truly understand the impact of it. You have to be ready. So I know we're talking about you, but I'm just curious, genuinely, when did it hit you? When did it hit you that you felt you were ready? So for me, it did take me probably 2 years, 2.5 years for me to truly feel like I was ready. And then now that my second one was born and I'm going through the process with her again, I'm like, I mean, I can't say I was 100% ready, but definitely more and more and more, getting more and more ready. My wife and I still go to therapy and we're still working on, it's a never ending growth journey. But like for you, when did you start to catch on?
I still haven't. I mean, I don't think there's ever, I think there's a point where you have to like, I think what I'm trying to say is I caught on, but it took me decades. Like it took me a long time to realize like that part of me had to die. Those visions of what I thought things would be, like they had to I had to become somebody new. And I'm the kind of guy where I look back sometimes and I'm like, I'm still the same guy I was when I was 18, but I'm actually like, I like probably the same music. I probably like the same stuff, but like I am a totally different human being. And I think sometimes men have a hard time separating. Like you look at chunks of years, and there's this quote that I really loved, where this dude talks about, I think it was Peter Corona, where he talks about like, you have to die every year in order to become like, he talks about birthdays and he talks about like, do you want to be the same person on the same day of every single year that's exactly the same person that lived already 20 years the same way already before that? I think I had to live the same person until I was like 33. Like 33 is like a significant age for me where I was just like, light bulb turned off, self-development, self-help. I've always been in therapy, like 15 years I've been in therapy because I had really bad anxiety. So I've always had that like extra layer of like wanting to learn more about myself, which I think a lot of men will, they're just like, I don't need therapy. I'll go drink a beer, talk to the guys. Like, first off, the guys are probably not going to give you the best advice
Yeah.
unless you're on the right people. But I think at that time in my life, like 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, I started to shed the people that I knew weren't good for me. Like got rid of friends that were still smoking weed every day, living in their parents' basement, eating Hot Pockets and shit. And sorry for those friends that are probably listening to this right now, but you guys know who you are. I just had to get away from that because like it's like we're reliving the same stuff that we did when we were 18, 17, 22. Like that's not me anymore.
I like that saying, by the way.
Which one?
People haven't necessarily grown in experience. They've just repeated the same year over and over again. However you phrased it, but it's something along the lines, right?
Yeah, exactly. And at that time, like that's when I think at 33 is when I flipped this kind of switch and I just started to realize like, okay, what's happened already since 2000 which is literally 13 years.
Yeah.
Like this was all supposed to happen. My son Jonah was born in between 2007. You know, I worked at a job as a delivery driver, got into a sales rep role. I didn't graduate high school. So I was already felt like I was back, behind everybody already.
Yeah.
So, and then I started making money. Like I started making real money at like 24, 25, 26, dude.
In a sales position.
In sales.
And when you say real money, can we make that tangible? Like what was real money at that point?
Like my friends were making probably 25, 30 grand. If that in, like 2004, 2005, I was making like 70, 75.
Wow. Yeah, so that is a lot, dude. That's easily 120,000 in 2005, I bet.
Now. So, I think that I spent money stupidly. Like I wasn't really investing in anything. I thought I was like the bee's knees. Like I thought I was freaking better than people because I had a job as a sales rep and I was excited about a card and just like, I think I needed to have that kind of like experience where I did feel like that. But then all of a sudden you get slapped back to reality. It's like you lose your job, like your company doesn't care about you. And then everything that you thought you were doing, which was...
Did you lose your job?
Yeah, bro. I lost a couple. I left a couple jobs. There was a couple jobs.
And was it anything because of the 2008 crisis or something totally unrelated?
Unrelated. It was just like me not liking a manager. Like that's why I've always left the job. It's like, I don't like this guy. He's a freaking douche. I'm out. Like I'm not going to deal with this. So it was that. And then, but yeah, anyway, I ended up growing a lot in that time frame. In fact, that actually 32, I left a job. I got laid off and I didn't work for a year, bro. This is where my life changed for me.
Okay.
I wish my wife was here to talk about this. Amber, are you here? She's not here.
Have her listen to the podcast. Or why you're going to bring her in?
I wanted to like talk about this year because this was a pivotal year for me. Like this, I've never actually talked about this before, so I'm kind of excited to talk about it.
Sure.
At 32, I lost my job, and I was like, I'm not going to work for a year. Like that's literally what I said. I was like, I'm not going to work for a year. I'm not going to work. Like my kids are growing up. Like I lived on unemployment, dude. Like I was getting like $1,800 a month. The place that I was renting was $700 a month. Didn't have a car payment. But that year I was super present. I took my son to school, my daughter to school every day. I picked them up. I was like, we were stealing internet from the neighbors across the street because like they had open Wi-Fi at the time.
Your wife wasn't working either?
She was working a part-time job. So she was doing like part-time stuff at a place. So like we had, I don't know, maybe $2,500. So enough to pay our bills and like not have the internet and like not go out and do stuff. So for that year, dude, I was so intentional with living. That's the happiest year I've ever had in my entire life. Wow. Because I was like super like present, like here. Like I was just here. Wherever that was, I was here. And I've never been able to get to that point again, even though like making millions of dollars and like, having the ups and downs of being in a business. Because I like literally was so intentional. Like, I'm not going to do this for a year. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm just going to like live and be with like my kids and like be present with them. I got super in shape. I got super healthy. I was like running stairs every day. I was doing this boot camp stuff and I just really just went inside. And from that 33 on is like when I started the self-development, like really listening to like Tony Robbins and getting into stuff. And it changed the way that I viewed literally everything. And going back to your original conversation here is like, that's when I started to realize like, okay, my life is what it is based off of the things that happened for me rather than to me, which, the daughter being born was like, damn it, my life's not going to be what it is anymore. It's not going to be, right. And that resentment that you feel kind of overlaps on a lot of things. That started to now, go down. Like it started to become like, it was like going into the layers of myself. Like it wasn't settling anymore. It wasn't just like that anger that you feel, that resentment that you feel. Like it didn't do that anymore. It didn't marinate like that anymore.
Yeah.
And that for me was like that second light switch moment where I was just like, this is what it is. This is how life is. This is how you got to live. And you have the ability to do whatever you want if you decide to choose to do that. And I was actually waiting for the right job to come. That's why it took me a year. I wasn't like, I'm going to do a year. I kind of wanted to, but I was just waiting for the right job. I wasn't taking a random job just because it was going to pay me. Like I was like, I'm going to wait for the right one. Doesn't matter. It was a year. But that for me, dude, was like that aha moment. I woke up and like I truly woke up. And if I didn't have that time and that momentary kind of mindset at that time, I don't think I would be here talking to you about
Dude,
this.
and I think it's awesome because it sounds like you built something awesome in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
The years are less. I think it might have been even less for you. Probably 5 years. 5 years ago, 4 years ago is probably.
I started in 2015 with like my first property. So, I mean, I technically would call it, I started then. So it was a decade. Yeah. 10 years would be today. 2025 is 10 years.
Right. And so the time is going to pass anyways. You were going to get to this age anyways. So you just did it doing the things that had a massive impact in a good way for your family in a direction that you wanted to go into.
Yeah. And I didn't necessarily want to, it just kind of happened, bro. I think this is where people, and
you didn't paint the vision of who you wanted. So not the vision of what your output would be, but the vision of who you wanted to be.
No, I don't think I'm barely to that point, like until now. It's like that Bob Dylan quote where he's like, I am who I am, whoever that is. I lived that way. And I still kind of do to a certain degree. But I feel like now I know what my path is. I know like what is supposed to be, like what is supposed to be. I think the thing with me, I've always been searching. Like I've always been one of those guys, like I love new music. I don't even listen to old stuff that I like to go find new things. And I'm always like trying to find the new thing and trying to find this. So I've always kept myself busy, and therapy actually taught me that, bro, I've always been go, like go, let's do this. I've always tried to get out of my own head.
Okay.
Because I don't want to deal with the internal stuff, but that's where therapy comes in, right?
Right.
So I learned this not even that long ago. Like I've always been on this business guy doing all these things and trying to do all this stuff. It's because I'm trying to get out of not actually feeling myself. And that right there was another light switch moment for me. It's like, dude, I've been like blanking out on a lot of stuff, like because I've been so involved with trying to build something. And hey everyone, if you are feeling stuck or not like you're making the progress you want in your midterm rental journey, I've got something that can change everything for you. Imagine being part of a community that's not only supportive, but filled with like-minded individuals who are driven to succeed just like you. Whether you are just starting out, looking to take care of your business to another level, my community is designed to help you break through those barriers. We're currently opening up registration for new enrollees, so if you're serious about building a thriving midterm rental business and you want to leverage my 10,000 hours of experience, this is your chance. Don't miss out on the opportunity to learn, grow, and connect with others in the same path. I hope to see you guys. The link is in the show notes, and let's build something incredible together. Let's get back to this episode. Have you seen the movie Click, dude?
Yes. Gosh, such a sad movie that made me cry at the end, and it just caught me off guard. I thought this was a comedy. What are you doing to me, Adam?
I love that movie because that's what happens when you get super involved in stuff. Your head's in your phone all the time. Like before you know it, it's January of 2025 and you take your head off that phone. You start to realize like you're a human being in the world of a planet called Earth. And it's the end of the year, bro. And people have that for decades, like maybe even years where they're just like,
what's your recommendation, man? How do we snap in or out?
I think it's being around the right people. I think getting around the right people, talking about these things, I think are really good. I don't know if you've ever had an outlet to be able to communicate with people to talk about these things. It sounds like you're just talking about it now, but I think this issue that you have is extremely common with a lot of people, especially a lot of men, and they don't necessarily talk about it. So I think this would be a good episode where it's like, yeah, you know what? This is like how it is and how it was. And I think the thing too, Fernando, is like everybody's figuring stuff out. Like this is my favorite thing about being in the position that I'm in. I'm super transparent about this stuff. A lot of people that you and I both know that we see that are like, making hundreds of millions of dollars. I get to peek behind the curtain, and guess what, dude? They don't know how to do it either. They're figuring it out.
Yeah.
Except they won't tell you that.
Yeah, you're talking about when you say figured out, it's the family, the business, the personal issues, the deep down stuff, the doing the work outside that makes it look like we've got it figured out, but we really don't, right? Like all of that connected to each other. How do we overcome our insecurities? How do we overcome the deepest fears that we can't look into? I want to touch on, I think it's going to be really good for everybody because I think this is perfect, Jesse. I love this, by the way. It's been months that I wanted to reach out to you. And we didn't even share how you and I just got on this podcast.
Right.
And it had been months And I have a mindset coach, and I was like, dude, you know what I need to talk to you about, man. I've been wanting to reach out to this guy named Jesse. We've known each other for like 4 years or so, and I was one of his students, but like I've been afraid to reach out to him, and I think it's because I was feeling like I'm not good enough, or like he's too busy. You know, he's got all these other top dogs, kind of like connected with them. And I was like, and if we reach out to him, and like, what if he doesn't get back, or he doesn't want me on there and everything, right? My mindset coach, and people are like, well, what do mindset coaches do with you? For me, my mindset coach is really just a business therapist. He was like, hey man, remember how we worked on like attachment to the result? He's like, this is an attachment to the result. You know, yes, it's possible he could be busy. Yes, it's possible he does reject you. Yeah, like all those things are possibilities. But if you detach yourself from that result and know that your action was good, so only that I took the action, and therefore my confidence and who I am is built off the actions I take, not off the results that I have. Results are just things that tell me what I can improve on. Me to get to that point took months. And then I was like, dude, literally like within a day or two, you posted that video of you playing Everlong.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the idea like, okay, I'm going to screen record his story. I screen recorded it. I downloaded it. I sent it to one of my editors. We edited it. I sang it. I put it up. And then right when I was about to upload it, like the next day, I held off. I almost held off. Because again, my mind, like in the back of my head was like, dude, nobody's going to like it. Nobody's going to comment. Jesse's not going to see it. Like, dude, don't even post it. But I was like literally about to say upload. And then I was like, dude, screw you, whoever you are, telling me what's not possible. Upload. And then you were like, and then it worked. It worked. Like you obviously saw the video. For those who don't know, I recorded Jesse playing Everlong. And then I did a mashup with him. He didn't even know about it. I screen recorded his video and recorded myself singing. And then I posted it and asked everybody in my network to tag Jesse so we could be on a podcast together. And that was a moment that my internal belief was built. Like that grew because of the action that I took, regardless of what the outcome would have been. So all that to say is, I had to overcome a fear, overcome an insecurity, overcome the back of my mind that tells me I'm not enough, right? I had to take that action. So thank you for being a part of that with me.
Can I tell you something about that, dude? Your community supports you like so much. Like I looked at that and I saw probably 30 comments, maybe more than that. To just get one comment on Instagram is I think that's like the biggest high five moment for anybody. Even if it's your friends or family. But to see random people that you probably introduce yourself to or connected with at a certain point, that's pretty powerful, dude. Like, I hope that you take a moment and just realize, like, you're not in this by yourself, that you are, like, you've built a community, whether you want to believe it or not. But also, I want everybody to realize this, because you had one of those moments there. I think we're all going to get these moments that we're on the right path. And you might get it from, with Jesse Vasquez or something like that. You might also get them from somebody that could be a contractor, that could be like, sees the vision, the potential of what you have. And like, you get to see what they're like, oh, tell me more about that. I want to learn more. Fernando, let's go have dinner. Let's go have lunch. That's somebody wanting to actually absorb your energy.
Yeah.
To get on your frequency, because they're on to something that you're doing and they want to be a part of it, whether it's through partnering together or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I've had those moments happen to me too, where I've literally had somebody, I remember the first time this happened in like 2020, there was this contractor guy that I looked up to. He had like 50 homes. He was doing all kinds of stuff. And I was talking about what I was doing, and I was showing him my Airbnb properties. We were talking about working on a place. And he comes by and he's like, man, like, I love what you're doing. Like, let's get on a call. Let's get on every Tuesday. We're just going to get on a call together. And he was just explaining to me these plans and stuff. And I remember, like, I closed my car and I got back in there, dude, and I just flooded with emotion. Like, I just started like crying in the car. Like, all this work that I've been doing for years, like, somebody finally saw it. So it's like, how every human just wants to be like seen and heard and like acknowledged and all this stuff. The work that I've been putting that nobody really saw, like this dude, random ass guy that I barely knew, that I saw had the ability to like add money. He had the ability to get loans, private money, like all that stuff, was like wanting to pay attention to me. And sometimes we get these little moments like that. And it doesn't have to be somebody that you know. It can be somebody you barely met. It could be somebody that you send a message to on Instagram. You're like, you heard them on Beggar Pockets, or you don't think they're ever going to respond to you. And then you get this little moment where it's just like, man, I needed that. Like I needed to have this part of my journey of all that, exactly what you're saying. Like because I'm with you on this. Like I feel a lack of a lot of things a lot of times, which honestly, I contribute a lot of my success to that feeling of not being enough. And I think a lot of high achievers have that. I'm not enough. Yet they also have the counter of that where they think they deserve stuff. And then the crazy part of that is that they have an insatiable ability to not indulge in everything. What I'm saying, like you can literally have the ability to have everything, but you like are super stringent on what you do. And I found that a lot of high entrepreneurs, high achievers have those similar traits. They believe they deserve everything. They don't think they're enough, which is like opposite on the pendulum. And then they have the ability to self-regulate and self-control like urges, like dramatically.
Yeah.
It's like you mix that into a ball, whether it's a male or female, like that person's going to have a crazy amount of success somehow, some way. Cause it's like, how does somebody even come up with that?
It's a melting pot of success.
Exactly. Because you're not enough. And this is where the journey comes in, where it's like, you know, now it's a big thing with therapy and all this stuff. It's like, you were enough the way you are. And yada, yada. It's like all, you know, we hear it all the time and it's woo woo stuff. Right. But if you actually break down what that actually means, it is like that ability to be like, I am where I am at this moment. I've given what I can. And the things that I believe that are potential for me are going to come in the future as long as I keep aligning myself and putting my vision forward.
You have the right actions every day. You know you're taking the right actions. It's inevitable.
Exactly. And it's just like, and you can already see that. And I think that right there is such a powerful thing to be able to see like what that potential could be. Because I think of the future as endless potential.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will look at it as like, I'm not enough. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at these things. I can't talk to people. The world isn't as it is. It is as you are. If I think those things, that's absolutely what I'm going to have. And I think a lot of times we get stuck in that super kind of like a funnel of that thought process. And again, I think these little kind of twinkle moments like this that happen, if you're paying attention, you can make something happen. And you took action on something, and I'm saying it was simple, but it took a lot of energy out of you. But it's literally posting something that somebody else did, singing over it, and then having your community say, "Hey, what's up?" Like you're now getting seen, right? The thing that we talked about earlier with the dude.
The action in and of itself is simple, 100%. Yeah, dude. I understand what you're saying. You're not discounting the effort or the mindset development of what it took. The action itself was simple.
Yep.
We are the complicated ones. Something I wanted to touch on there that I love that you're trying to break things down into its methodology, into like a framework. Do you? And I'm happy to share mine. Is there a framework in terms of how you have started to master the I am enough, I am worthy, right? I am capable. Do you have something that you've dialed in for yourself?
I feel like I'm in the process right now of climbing out of that hill, and I have been for the last 42 years. I think it's something that is an ever going process. It's like meditating, dude. Like you can sit down and take your deep breaths and you'll have thoughts that come in and out, and the ability of being able to let those go, those thoughts of like that creep in. That's where I feel like I'm at now. I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of that. I hope to God that someday I do, but honestly, I know myself. There's probably a likelihood that I won't, but there will be a time where I can allow those feelings and things to come.
Yes.
And then I can let them go. And that's the hard thing with somebody like me is like, if I have a feeling of something, then I'm going to try to stay into it for a little while and I'm not try to, or avoid it, right? That's what I've been doing.
Or avoid it, dude. So talk about that really quick, because talk about that. How do you, the ability to let it come in and then let it go? What happens inside of your mind, inside of your thoughts, inside of like, that's the framework I want to extract out of you.
Yeah. I think it's being aware, dude, like self-awareness of like what it actually, I think so many people lack being able to be aware. Have you ever had anybody that just like has come over to your house, Fernando, and it's like 10 o'clock at night, your kids are like ready for bed, they're screaming all over the place. It's visible that your wife doesn't want them there anymore. You don't want them there anymore. And they're still there. It's probably your husband or something. He's probably sleeping in the back room.
Like, hey guys, it's time. Like, I think it's time for everybody to leave. Yeah. My parents probably, I don't know parents, but I'm saying it's time. Like, all right, guys, it's time to, everybody got to go home because we love you. We got to it goes down. Okay.
And that self-awareness just isn't there. Like that communal self-awareness, like there's that internal, like I feel like right now my framework is really recognizing that in myself. I just talked to you about something where I've been avoiding a lot of my own feelings in a lot of ways by doing work. Like that's why I don't actually have to go in. I realize that. I am aware of that. I think that's the biggest piece of advice I can give anybody.
Absolutely.
The second that you're aware of it, it's like, okay, cool. Now we start to think about the meditation thing. It comes in. All right, I got it. And then we let it go and we continue to move on. I'm in that process right now. I feel like I've been in that for a while, and I think I'm on the getting over the hill on that end.
Yeah.
But that's been something I've been kind of fighting through and trying to figure out. And what about you, man?
So
What's
I love this because yeah, I invest in a lot of different leadership, especially leadership. And so in this case, it's three R's. Three R's, which is realize, which is what you just said, right? Replace, repeat. And I'll talk about how it actually works, because the cues that trigger the realize can be predictable. They don't have to be random. Some people, because I think some people say, well, like, well, how do you become more aware? It's like, yeah, people aren't aware, but how do you become more aware? It just takes one time to capture the awareness of what triggered this anxiety or this fear or this emotion. It just takes one time, and then you write it down. Right? I had a fear. I was thinking about, this is literally what I did. I was thinking about Jesse not responding, or I was thinking about me doing a post and nobody commenting, and that created this anxiety in me, right? They created this fear in me. Okay, interesting. So I realized that when I had these thoughts of a result that I did not have control over, anxiety was created. Now I can know that, and then I can choose, okay, now that I know that, oh yeah, here it is again. This is another result I don't have control over that's creating anxiety. Here it is again. So now I start to formulate that. Like, I know when anxiety starts to come based off of certain thought patterns that I have. Okay, that's step one, realize. Step two, and I literally have this on my phone already. What do I want to replace those thoughts with? And so those thoughts are, usually it's breathing. Okay, first I need to get my emotional and my physiology. I got to get that down. We all know what anxiety feels like. Anxiety feels like your fucking heart is up here and you're like antsy. And so immediately I'm like, okay, I need to get that back down through controlled breath. And then I replace and I already have this on my phone. So I don't have to think about it. I already have what I want to replace that with. If I had my phone's right there, but it's like something like, I am worthy. I'm enough. I know that I'm capable. I know that even if I put in the action and the outcome or the result is not something I want, I am still enough, and that's okay. Like, I already know what I need to tell myself when I have this. So I have realize, I know what I have to capture to bring my anxiety down. Then I replace it. And then I have last one, repeat. So then I track how many times I repeat that to myself. Literally, it's a tracker, dude. Like, if somebody's tracking how much weights they lift and reps that they do every day. Oh yeah, I did 20 push-ups today. I did 20 push-ups in the morning and the midday. Cool. I was like, if people track this for their health, why don't they track this for their mindset? And so I started tracking it. And that was it.
that right there? What you just said was exactly why I started going into therapy at 20, I don't know, 26, 25. Because I was sitting there watching all these people, Fernando, like invest so much time into learning new things, like, random stuff. Like, they were going and doing or I had a friend that was like meeting people on the internet, and he'd tell me like his dates and stuff. And he's like, I was asking him all these questions and I was figuring all these things out. And I was like, bro, have you ever asked yourself any of those questions? And he's like, no, why would I? It's my friend Jeff. And then I had people that would I had another buddy who was like super into golf. He's like, I'm going to start golfing, like spending all this money and time, didn't have his mental health together at all. And I sat there and I was like, why are so many people doing all these things to find out all these other things about, putting time and energy into sports and stuff? Like, they're not going to be like these professional athletes. They're already like 27. Like, come on, dude. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And my brain was like, I want to learn more about myself. Like, I want to learn more about why I do the certain things that I do, why I have these certain thought processes. And like, exactly what you're talking about right now is so important, because you're now like going back inside, you're figuring out how you are, what caused that to happen. You're having these deep conversations with yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like most people will meet a random person at a real estate conference and ask them more questions about those people that they've never even asked about themselves. Like, what do you want to do in the next 5 years? Like, what's your goals? What do you feel like, what's your ambition? What's holding you back? Like, a lot of people don't even talk to themselves about that. So the fact that you're able to get to a position where you can have this frame of mind that you go back to get yourself out of anxiety, or to get yourself out of, the fear of rejection or whatever it is, which we all have, by the way. I think that's really important, man. I think that that's something that's strong. That is, it's hard to do what we're doing. It's hard to build stuff just in general. It's hard to have a family. It's hard to be a provider. I think a lot of times people don't really understand that. It really, really is hard. And I'm not just saying that because I've lived through it. Like, it just is, you know what I mean?
You got it. You got it. That's exactly it, dude. And this is actually something I'm really happy we went into this direction. I haven't even told you guys what I do. So, but this is before I can even share anything about what I do. I love starting about who I am, and this is the stuff of who I am, right? And Jesse, you know the same thing. It's like I want to show you who I am before I tell you what I do, and that's where we're at, man.
I like these conversations, man. They're, to me, I mean, we can talk about the real estate stuff. We can go into that. I just feel like real estate's boring and cold, and like there's tactics and tricks and everybody has them. But, you're
Yeah,
somebody that I look at that has been able to go into, you were trying to figure stuff out. I think you were like trying midterm for a while, and then you found, renting by the room, and then that became a thing for
right.
you, and you're able to grow that way. And I know now you're doing loans where you're like teaching people how to do their own loans rather than going off and doing another thing.
Yeah,
Let's talk about what you've been able to build over the last 4 years since you came into class. And my goal behind this conversation today, I didn't really necessarily have a goal, but now here where we're at right now, I think it's cool to hear the stories of these things that are like internal that I think a lot of men are dealing with, but also like how you can kind of get out of that, which we tackled, and like now where you're at in your life, like what you're building, where the income's coming from, all that kind of stuff.
So yeah, so let's say in the last 6 years, because I left my first, my big kid job, my career, I left it 6 years ago, and in the past 6 years, I've had 5 failed businesses and one pretty successful one, and it all compounded on each other. So that's 5 failures, 5 legit. I tried something, I went public about it, and I fell on my face.
Can I talk to you about that real quick?
Sure.
What does that feel like, man, to publicly say I'm doing this and all of a sudden be like, I got to shut this down?
Dude, okay, I'll tell you. Let's go straight to the worst one. The worst one was I was raising money for a hedge fund, and I was doing that for about a year and a half. A year was going really well, and then at the end of the year and a half, in total, I'd probably put in $400,000 of my money, my wife's money, my parents' money, her parents' money, my brother's money, people on the internet's money, like people that really trusted me because I was obviously built relationships and
Yeah.
things were working. Our real estate was doing well. This hedge fund thing was going well. There was like everything was going well until it wasn't. And it was basically turned into a Ponzi scheme. The owner, CEO of the hedge fund, I think he's running the whole operations. It didn't produce, it didn't pay out maybe that year. And he was thinking in his head, if I just fund everybody's payouts with everybody else's new money, then we'll figure it out. Never figured it out. We ended up losing everybody's money,
And your money.
and my money, right? And so that I'm speaking very quickly, and like this is so matter of fact because I'm past it. But at the time when I got the call, and the hedge fund manager who had collected my capital, not the owner, I never connected directly with the owner. He reached out to me and he's like, "Hey, man," it was a phone call. He was like, "Hey, the money's not coming back," and I was like really afraid to ask what he meant. And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Yeah, money's not coming back, man." And my heart, just like in here, just like sunk to my stomach. I didn't have 400K, bro. My properties weren't worth 400K. Like, and it wasn't even my money. Like, this is other people's money that I was, that invested. And, the first thing, so I was literally depressed for probably 3 days, but I had a baby.
Yeah.
I had a baby and I had a wife, but I was literally depressed like for 3 days. And I say 3 days, that's actually a lot of
You didn't
growth.
get out of bed. Like you were like literally like in the fetal position.
I was in the fetal position. I did not want to do anything. I was afraid because I hadn't told a lot of people, even the people whose money was lost. I was afraid of telling them. And I was just like, please, somebody else, please tell me this is a bad nightmare. This will get fixed. And, I hope I don't have to have this conversation with anybody. I don't have to tell anybody, that trusted me. And 3 days went by. I remember being outside of a house we were renting, and I just like put my head to the wall and was like, dude, like, you have a kid and you're married. You can't be depressed for the rest of your life. Like, life goes on. And that's when I first, there's a bunch of lessons in this, but that lesson I learned that like life goes on. The worst thing can happen to all of us. Sadly, like death can happen to our close ones. And even when that happens, life goes on. And it's it can be very sad to think about that, but it's also very empowering. And it became empowering because I said, this doesn't have to be the end of my story. This can just be part of it. And that was the mindset that I started to adopt. And so that was in 2022. We're in 2025. So literally it's like, well, how do you rebuild? How do you rebuild yourself and everything that you had put out there? How do I build on the right foundations? That's what we're talking about, the insecurities. So like, yeah, dude, I had to have a conversation with my wife's dad and say, hey, you know how you handed your daughter to me at marriage? I can't provide for her. I can't even provide for my own daughter. That was a really hard conversation to have. And then go to my parents who supposedly raised me well, saying, hey, you guys raised me. I went to college. So I did get a 4-year degree, engineering. My parents didn't want me to be an entrepreneur. They just wanted me to like focus and everything. So here I am thinking I'm figuring it out. I'm doing it, mom and dad, only to lose their money too. And now tell them like, I don't have any income. And so literally every fear that a person could possibly have of like, I don't want to let my parents down. I don't want to be a failure. I don't want to let my wife down. I don't want to let my kids down. Like all of that happened. And then, I sunk to a pretty dark place. So from there, if you have any questions down there on how I started to pull myself out, but I had to pull myself out. Nobody was going to come and save me. I know as much as I wanted somebody else to do the work to get me out of my position, I was the one that had to take on the reign. I had to pull myself out. And so then I started doing the work. You know what I mean? And then I can talk about where we are now.
Yeah. Can I tell you something about that, man? Like, I feel that the level of putting yourself out there in a way like that to lose a lot of income like that, that's because you're doing something big. Like you're putting yourself in a position that risk tolerance is probably high, Fernando. You probably have a high risk tolerance and you're going to lose. Like this is part of the game. I think a lot of people don't realize that. Like I've done things that I've lost on. There's things now that are businesses that I have that are running right now. I'm just like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. Like, do I need to keep co-hosting? Is this something I actually enjoy doing? Do I want to deal with people that are upset about their properties? Like, do I want to continue to do that? So I think there's certain things that like you start to come to terms with and we're all going to lose. And it sucks because this is what I hate about other people's money is like, you care more about their money than you do your own. Like your money, fine, whatever. But you lose your mom, your dad's, your wife's family. Like that's like, dude, that's like the gut punch. It's like,
yes, the gut punch.
Because your intention was never ill. It was never like we're taking advantage of you. We're never going to do that. But again, I think these lessons like that only goes to show your level of risk tolerance is high, and also not everything's always going to work. It's part of the game. Like it doesn't matter what business you're in. Like real estate, you're going to have 2 base hits out of 10. Like this is like real. Like this is how real estate works. Like it's the same game. But the level of risk and the tolerance you put out there, the risk and the reward have to be up there. And there's usually a big flip side of that. If this worked out the right way, Fernando, you guys would probably be multimillionaires doing your thing. And like, you'd probably know that.
There are learning lessons that I take from that too. Yeah. The biggest value. So now to answer the question too. So last year, so I said, okay, well, who can I bank on? I can bank on myself. All right, Fernando, you got to start to build some skills. And I said, well, what am I good at? And I was like, I was good at doing the real estate. So my real estate portfolio was actually doing strong. Like I had gotten 4 properties and I was still using other people's capital, but those were doing well. I was like, okay. And then how do I monetize that? Or how do I help? Like, what am I passionate about? I was like, am I passionate about being an agent? No. Do I want to be a real estate coach and help people invest? Like I did that. I tried that. That wasn't for me. But I like financing. I loved financing, dude, talking real estate strategies, DSCR, hard money, BRRRR strategy, like invoice authorization strategies. I mean, there's all this types of stuff I loved doing. And so I said, I'll start a lending business. I can do it remotely. I'm a big fan of create your lifestyle that you want and then build your life around it. So my wife and I knew we want to have a family that we work remotely. Like we already knew that. Yeah. So then I said, okay, well, I like that. If I had to start all over, which I literally had to start all over, what would I build? And I build this lending business that I can do remotely from anywhere and serve investors. And I didn't want to work with primary homeowners. And I thought that I had to, but I ended up not having to. May of 2023, I got my license. June, July, I did my first loan. The end of 2023, I ended up doing 20 loans. But because I do want to say one thing, when I was in the dumps, your character really comes out. I'm sure you know, dude, you know stories. We at this level, we both know people when they are in their deepest, darkest moments, their character shows.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen people where their character shows and you're like, dang.
Yeah. And it's usually money related.
So for me, when that happened, I liquidated my $100,000 of credit cards at 30% interest, and I paid $200,000 to people. I took out $70,000 in personal money debt, paid back people.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I will not let the people that cared for me carry this burden. I'll put that on me. So my monthly debt payments in May of 2023 was like $5,000 minimum monthly payments,
Mm-hmm.
interest only. $5,000, $60,000 a year, not paying back principal, just the interest payments. But I said, I'll take this on, even if my mindset was like, dude, even if I have to file bankruptcy, I don't want anybody to go down with me.
Yeah.
So that was like, I was really happy to know that that's the version of me that came out.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a fight before? Just curious.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I have.
So when you got in a fight after the fight, because it happened to me too. I've only been in 2 fights in my life. Were you happy with yourself in terms of who came out in that fight? Like how you handled it?
I was being bullied. So I loved it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it, dude. So it's like, you don't know who you are sometimes until you're put in positions where like you find out. And so that I found out who I was, and I was really happy with that version of me. And so then I knew, I was like, okay, I can build on a really good foundation. And I got everybody right. I still owe some people some money, but I worked out an agreement with them. Let me just tell you really quick. May 2023 is when I just got my license. In June, I closed my first loan. That year, I got 20 loans under my belt. December, I had payroll at that time. We know what payroll's like. Again, I never wanted anybody else to suffer for me. So I made payroll, took my bank account to a negative number for the first time. And January of last year, May, I was like at 10K. February was 19K. March of last year is when things started to turn around. March, I hit my first like 50K month. Damn. And I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And then April, another 50K, 60K month. June, I think May was a low month of like $39,000. Low month. I'm joking. Mm-hmm. Because I have never seen this type of money in a monthly basis. June came, dude, $158,000 month.
Wild.
Like what? And then we ended up closing out that year. Last year, we ended up closing 131 loans. 131 loans, dude.
Amazing.
Helping investors. And then in terms of income was like $630,000. So
freaking wild.
It was, dude, I never would have thought that would have been me, but I started to believe that it was possible. I was like, if I just don't stop, I don't give up. You listen to enough mindset stuff that right when you're in the position of giving up, you just withstand the not giving up. You don't know when success will happen. But earlier, if I felt really connected to what you said, that like, it was something that you said earlier where you're like, if you just don't stop, the success is inevitable.
Yes, I agree to that.
And you, in this window of not stopping, you don't know how long that's going to be though. Right? Yeah. Like you're in this
illusion.
Purgatory. What do you call it? Delusion?
I call it an illusion or a delusion. Like you're delusional to what it takes. But this is also, Fernando, why people don't do the thing long enough. They don't get results in a year or 2 or 3. Like you have to come into this with the idea of like, I'm going to spend the next decade doing this.
Yes.
By year 5,
yes. Hands down. Even if I have to suffer and endure this for 10 years, I am willing. That was the mindset. And my wife knew that because I knew it was possible. I knew something else was possible, but I just didn't know when it was going to hit.
Yeah.
And then it hit, dude.
And it happened kind of fast for you, man.
Well, 6 years. I will say it was 6. You can't look at, it's hard to say that was the catalyst. Like, oh yeah, I made $100,000 in 7 months. Like I tell people that's a lie. I failed 5 businesses.
Yeah.
And then the 5 businesses of not making a lot of money, finally that 6th business where the accumulation of network, because I still built a network, right?
You did.
Trust.
The community supported you. I saw the freaking messages.
The people supported me. Like all that was built in the 5 years. And then the skills like sales, marketing, branding, all that stuff, right? So that was all, you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
a massive propel. But yes, in terms of the result, like the going from the exponential growth,
Like a hockey
yeah, for
stick.
sure.
Yeah.
I was at that hockey stick moment, and I didn't know that it was going to hit
Yeah.
right there. But you're right, it hit.
I think where I was trying to allude with that was like the loss that you had with like that 3-day depression in the bed, trying to figure out hands on your face, like trying to figure stuff out. That to where you are now, you're low to this high. Like how fast was that?
Shoot, 2.5 years, probably 2.5 to 3 years.
That right there, Fernando, if anybody can take anything out of this entire hour-long conversation that we're having right now, you could have your face in the gutter, like losing everybody's money. Like, and then within 2 years, with the right mindset, the right understanding, the vision, the tenacity,
Yeah,
the consistency, and the ability to be like, I'm going to continue to do this for the next decade. Hopefully I make some cash from it. If not, I'm still doing it.
yeah.
That's where that comes through. Like that's that like power that people have within themselves. And I think
Right.
that's a powerful thing, man, because what happened to you there could have leveled you in the sense of like, I'm never going to be public again. I'm never going to put my stuff out there like that. I'm never going to communicate with people. I'm sure as hell not going to take anybody's money anymore. And I think this is where the stuff that we're talking about today, which is why I like it so much, this is the most relatable stuff that people can hear. We're not out here talking about, yeah, we are talking about money and stuff like that, but we're not here like bragging about things like this is what it actually takes to run a business. This is the hardship that comes along with it. It's not always freaking sunshine and roses, and it's just not that. In fact, it's like 97% the opposite. And then you get to enjoy the 3% every now and then. But this is one of those like stories that I think is important because you had your head in the sand, dude. Like that's how rough it was. And then 2.5 years later, granted, it's a mission, right? It's a long game. But this is what I love about podcasts and stuff like this. People could see like what actually has endured through somebody to see the growth and, and over an hour long conversation, you could see that. And I think it's pretty cool to be able to have these conversations where we didn't start off talking about any of this, but now we're like 60, 100, 20. Dude, I remember I had a mentor. I want to talk about this real quick. His name's Aaron West. He's like, there's going to come a day where you're going to make what you made in a year over a weekend or in a month. And he's like, when that happens to you, call me.
Whoa. Okay.
And at the time when he told me that, I was laughing. I was like, this guy, like I made 175,000. There's no way I'm ever going to make that in a year. Made it on over a weekend, bro.
You made that over a weekend.
And I called him and I was like, Aaron, like, and he's like, started laughing. He's like, I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know when. I didn't know when.
Yeah.
Like, I knew it was going to happen. He's like, tell me how it feels. And I was like, super excited. I was like, dude, this is freaking amazing. Like, this is
like, what?
Yeah. And he's like, call me next month when you do it again. And, and I was like, are you serious? And he's like, no, I'm actually not serious. Call me when you don't do it again, because that's when you're going to need help the most. Because he's like, what he was trying to say to me is that I'm now putting this expectation together, and the next month's probably not going to be that. And if it is, great. If it's not, you need to you got to be ready.
You have to battle a different mindset, a different mindset. Dude, that you're right. When I made that 158K month, I was like sick, and then very quickly fear can set in on, well, how are you going to sustain it? Well, how are you going to do this again? You can't do this again. You were lucky. You got lucky, Fernando. And you have to battle that. So how did you battle that?
Yeah. How did I battle that? I just battled it by continuing to do the output that got me there. Like that was the thing. Like, dude, I was working from literally 8:30 in the morning to like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and work, bro. Like, I'm not even kidding you. Like, I like create reels, what was going to happen for the next day. And just like, that's what it was. It was a grind for a long time. So I just went back to that because that's what worked. And then there's different levels of success when you get, when you make 100 something thousand, consecutive months in a row, then you start to think like, this is how it's going to be all the time. And you're also, this is another skill you got to learn after you start to make this is like, you're not going to always have that. It's going to drop and you're going to have to figure out how to do things. And there's a lifestyle that you might have built in that 3, 6, 9, 12 months. It's already happened. And you might have to relearn or get rid of that lifestyle. Like I'm seeing a lot right now with a lot of people that have, had coaching businesses that did $2, $3, $5, $7 million. They bought all these cool cars. Guess what? They're downgrading now. Like they're like 23 or 24 wasn't as good as 23 and 22 and 21. We got to go and do things different now. 25 is rolling around. It's a lot more difficult now. And I think it's cool right now. This is a testament to what you're doing. Last year was a down year for a lot of people, dude. And including myself. down here, especially on the coaching side, there's a lot of things, and I talk about this all the time on the podcast, that you got to pivot and you got to be able to move things around. I'm not reliant on just one line of business that's going to give me income, but I had to relearn a lot of things, dude. And I think being able to win during a downtime, like that's what actually builds people to be like ultra successful in the long term of times, because that diversity, that dislocation, like that's hard. And then to do it for a long period of time during that time, like, dude, that takes grit and tenacity and a lot of stuff. So, yeah, man, tell me about what else, like where else you're at right now. So you're doing 20, 30, 50, 60, 70, 100,000 now. You're out of that hole.
Yes.
What are you doing right now that can save people like thousands of dollars? I know you're working with investors or teaching people how to actually do loans.
So this is crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
So tell me about this real quick.
Oh, man, this is like, I will say this, man, if any brokers listen to this or lenders, you know, that this people don't want me to share some of this information, and I didn't want to share it because I got a little afraid. So I like 99.9% of my business is investors. And last year, of the 130 loans we closed, 120 of them did, even though I got my license, I got my NMLS license, 120 of the 130 loans that I closed last year were unlicensed, no license required. People are like, what does that mean? You know what a wholesaler is, right? Of course you do. Real estate wholesaler. Yep. Do real estate wholesalers have licenses? Maybe in some states, right? Like very pocketed, but in 39 states, easily 39 states, and sometimes even more. But to be safe, to not get people like tell me like, oh, you're telling blah, blah, blah. 39 states, hands down, eyes closed, no licenses required. To do DSCR loans, bank statement loans, anything that closes an LLC, SBA loans, 5 unit, 10 unit, 20 unit, 100 unit. We're talking mixed use warehouse with a single family home on it. No license required, dude. No NMLS license required.
To do a loan on that property.
To do a loan on that property in 39 states.
Right.
Okay. And the majority of my loans, especially where investors are buying, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Texas, Missouri, like people are buying in all these states. You don't need licenses there. So, and like I said, I stumbled upon this on accident because I was licensed. I was licensed. One day, a lender sees me doing a loan in Georgia that I was working with. And he was like, hey, man, do you want to just do this one direct with us? And you can just do it through your business. And I was like, my business isn't licensed, but I didn't say anything. I was like, yeah, all right, let's do this. And then, cause you're circumventing the brokerage. Remember how usually in the loan world, there's a brokerage that the loan officers underneath get their licenses and sign up with the brokerage, right? But the brokerage takes a split.
That's true. Yeah. They take a 3% or whatever it is. Yeah.
Okay. Now I had because I was building relationships with lenders. One of the lenders was like, hey, dude, you could just do this one direct with us. And I was like, direct? What do you mean? He's like, yeah, dude, like just do it through your LLC. I was like, all right, well, I'll listen to him, I guess. And, but I still thought it was a little sketchy, but I did it. We closed one loan and I got the check. Like I got paid the full amount, 100% of the commission I kept.
So 3%, how big was that deal? Let's talk about that real quick.
So usually, when you're doing the DSCR, like, have you done a DSCR loan yet for yourself? Mm-hmm. What percent did you get charged? 1.5 points, maybe 2 points, depending on loan amount?
I think it was 2 points. And then another one I did was 1 point.
Okay. So yeah, usually let's say it's $200,000 loan amount. Being charged 2 points at that loan is like standard. Yeah. Right. But yeah, when you're at 400K or like 500 loan amounts, when you're at a higher loan amount, 1 to 1.5% is pretty standard. We're talking about like investor style loans, but let's just say $200,000 loan amount. So not even big. You get charged 2% on a $200,000 loan. That's $4,000, right? Sometimes there's processing fees, $1,000 processing fee.
Origination fees.
Right. So on a $200,000 loan, DSCR, it's not crazy to pay $5,000 in origination and processing. That's like a standard. And my average of the 130 loans, my average was $4,900. So that's an average loan that's paid to a broker, right? And now conventionally, that 4,900 is split between the brokerage and the loan officer. Okay. But remember, now I'm keeping everything 100% for myself because I'm circumventing the brokerages. Make sense? Yep. So because I found out you can do this unlicensed, I started to reach out to more lenders that were doing this. Not every lender does it.
Independent lenders.
Independent lenders, right?
Yeah.
Not brokerages, not brokers, independent lenders that they're called like I call them direct to lenders. So D2Ls.
Mm-hmm.
So I reached out to other D2Ls, direct to lenders, and as if I signed up as a broker, we would have a contract agreement that I don't have to pay origination fees with them. I don't have to pay a processing fee with them. I still have to pay like an underwriting fee. So you still have like a lender underwriting fee. But as an example, we had an investor join our program. First week of January, he submitted his own loan within 7 days. He closed it end of January. And the lender fees that he paid on the loan were $1,645.
Wow.
Has anybody ever closed with that little of fees? We're talking about not primary stuff.
I know. It's pretty awesome.
So now we launched in January. It's February 26th. We got 15 people in that have joined, and people are just seeing, they do their own pricing. It's literally like it's on the web. It's on the web browser, right? You click your own pricing. They pick their own prepayment penalty, or they pick their own rate, their interest rate, the most transparency. They're working directly with the back-end lenders that are asking for the documents, instead of when you're working with the broker collects the documents that get sent to the lender and all that stuff.
Do you have like a TC involved in any of that at all?
So this is the cool part. Remember how it's a broker is charging origination fees and the processing fee, right?
Right.
The processing fee I would also keep, and I would arbitrage the processing. So I would pay my processors maybe $600, but I would charge like $1,000 or $1,200 on the processing.
Gotcha.
So yes, I do have a processor, which is the same thing as a TC, transaction coordinator. In the agent world, they call them transaction coordinators. In the sub 2 world as well, they'll call them TCs. In the loan world, we call them processors. But it's all the same thing. They're processing loan documents. So to answer your question, I do have processors that work for me. When an investor joins to do their own loan, they have the choice to bring in one of their own admins to be the processor for their own loans, or for the most part, investors are just processing their own loans as well. But yeah, they have that freedom and flexibility. So the name of the program is Zero Origination Investor, because I believe that type of investor exists. Like, we have people that close. We've already succeeded. An investor came in, refinanced their own property, charged themselves $0 in origination fees, and closed the loan. They became a zero origination investor. Like, it was, this has been the coolest thing.
Do you find that like a lot of budgeted investors are doing this, where like 5 to 10 to 15,000 like is going to be on the negative? So it's like, is there a specific kind of person that you're looking at that would fit this mold?
There's two people. So one, the people that are doing, like, I just had a guy join who's going to buy 15 properties this year. He's buying with hard money. He's refinancing into DSCR, right? If he would have paid in broker fees, just be very easy, say $4,000 in broker fees. Just do the math. He's paying easily 50,000 plus in broker fees that now he doesn't have to pay.
Gotcha.
So you have those people that are buying a bunch, and they know they're doing hard money, and especially the burst strategy or whatever. If you're buying more than 2-3 deals a year, it makes sense to do this, right? The only time it doesn't make sense is if you have another active business and you just don't have time for it. You need to trust your broker. So a broker's value is still there. So even on my service-based side, last month, we still submitted like 8 loans. So it's not that people will not need a broker. We're just giving another outlet for people that want to do it themselves. So that's one type of person who's doing more than 3 loans a year. Makes sense, do it yourself, or have your spouse, do the processing, or your assistant, your VA from the Philippines. My processor is a VA from the Philippines, who does all my loans. So, okay, that's number one. But number two is, and this one surprised me. I guess it shouldn't have. You have investors that also have a network, and so there might be somebody in your group who's like, dude, I could learn this and offer it to other people that do midterm rentals. It's like, if you want, yeah, you could monetize it. You could build a business if you wanted to. Yeah. So there's those two type of people. The people that say, I'm going to save a lot of money because I do a lot of deals, or I'm going to make a lot of money because I know people in real estate. That's what it's for.
I think that's pretty cool, man. I've heard about this in 2020 when I was up back on Clubhouse. I don't know if you know what Clubhouse is or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Back in, I don't even, is Clubhouse even a thing anymore? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it is. People still use it. But yeah, back then there was people talking about loan originations, and like there was a dude that actually started kind of like what you're doing now. Like he created this kind of like program where people would go learn how to do loans and
Yeah.
do all this stuff. And I started to see people that were like, yeah, I just made like 20 grand this month. Like we did 4 loans, and like, you know, just telling me all this stuff. And I'm like, man, like what a time to be alive. Cause like COVID was happening, dude lost his job and all of a sudden like found this little niche and
Yeah.
probably create something from it. Here's where my brain goes. Do you get worried about AI taking this on in like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now, where it's like, now you're thinking about these documents? I think anything documented like that is like scary to think about, because there's going to come a point where you're just going to be able to like, I don't even think there's going to be agents, bro. Like I think agents are going to be gone in the future.
Okay.
What do you think about that? What's your thoughts on that?
We're building tools that use AI.
Perfect. I'm glad you said that.
So we're already building the tools, right? So AI is going to make the person more efficient. AI will make the broker more efficient. So now instead of me doing 130 loans with the same amount of effort, I'm doing 260 loans.
Yep.
Right. And now it is going to further separate the people that use AI versus the people that don't. Do I think AI will take people's jobs? I think it'll start to imbalance things even more. So like think about when Google Doc or Word Doc were started to be created, or just cloud-based companies, just very simplistic. Have you heard of Workday? Workday versus like ADP and Oracle. Like Workday was just like, not supposed to be a ringleader. And then they were one of the first cloud-based HR, style company. Salesforce is another one. But they still hire a ton of people. It's not like they got rid of a ton of people. So I think you're going to have different skill sets. Dude, right now, I'll give you this should help everybody. So I still write my own emails. But it takes me, well, actually at this point now, it doesn't take me any time, but here's how it works. I send a voice transcription. I send a voice message to myself. It transcribes it. I created an AI bot that already has my tone, style, and voice that speaks in my language and writes stories in my language. I have a feedback process when it spits out an email that I edit it and I say, okay, I would have told this story. It's a little too cheesy. Right? We have a retraining process. We retrain the bot, and now we've got the bot to a point where, dude, somebody else can write the concept of what I want to create. It spits out the email in my voice, which was the hardest thing to do before. Okay, so that's like one example of AI. I'll give you a second example of how we're using AI right now. Second example is loan documents. Like you said, we upload a purchase contract or you upload a fee sheet or whatever. These are PDFs or scanned documents. We used to have a VA from the Philippines typing in the purchase prices and typing in all this stuff, right? Now we have AI, we upload it, and I'll give everybody, we use something called Claude. We don't use ChatGPT for PDF stuff. It's not as good. ChatGPT is really good. Generically, we built our language email writing bot on there. But Claude is with Anthropic, Claude.ai. Have you used that one before?
Yep. I've used, I'm really into Perplexity right now. Like that's the one I've been really playing around with for the like research and stuff. But yeah, I get where you're at. Claude.
Yeah. So using these different AIs for different reasons, so you don't know which one's going to be the best one to use. I tried it with Grok, the stuff I'm doing with Claude, and Grok's not as good, but Grok might be super good for using it for coding or something like that. Right. So, we use Claude. We upload a fee sheet or a purchase contract. It extracts all the data that we need. We use that to put into our systems. So, and then now we're building like a processing bot. To your point, like, will AI help? Yeah, like when the information gets sent here, it automatically processes information, and then that gets sent to the lender or gets sent to back to the borrower. Like we're actively building that as well. And I'm a pretty small shop, but I see the direction and the trend, and I want to get ahead of it. So everybody on my team is incentivized to build using AI. I'm training everyone on my team. We have like AI meetings.
Dude, that's dope, man. We're actually right now in my coaching program, we're doing the same thing where people, how people always ask, you're in the program, you see the messages sometimes like, how do I reach out to this person? How to do that? We're creating a bot right now where they can just go in and be like, what's the best way for me to communicate with a relocation specialist? Exactly everything from our courses, everything thrown into PDF, all thrown in there. Like every single video I've ever done from the entire class, which is like, there's like freaking hundreds and hundreds of them, literally hundreds hundreds of thousands of hours of like content all boiled into that. My YouTube content all into that. Everything's PDF form so I can easily go through. And then we're eventually going to be able to roll it out where somebody can just be like, I want to connect with a relocation company. What are the first 3 things I should be doing? And it's just, there it is. Take this, here's your script, here's that. And like now you are able to get that. And yes, you want to go back to the community, you want to connect with other people, but like that's the framework that you need to get. And I think that's where people get stuck, Fernando. I saw this thing, my attorney, who's a tech attorney, because I'm creating a software as a service right now. He did this a year ago, and like I paid, it was a monthly recurring fee. But if I needed to have a NDA put together, if I was going to talk to you about something, I could just go into the AI and be like, it's Fernando Corona, and we're going to be talking about this. Can you please format an AI for me? It's, here it is. And then I can just DocuSign it. And I'm just like, what a freaking genius, dude. Like this guy's like, so that was a year ago. And I'm like, I got to do that for this. I think you're really smart on doing that, man. Cause I think every company is going to have something like this. And the second that you're able to layer it with your business and like obviously reduce time, efficiency is going to get better, like all those kinds of things. You're now putting yourself into that 2.0 version of where you were before, which allows you to take more volume, which allows you to do more things. And that's where sales and marketing and all other stuff comes in. But Fernando, where can people, like, if they want to learn how to do this or join because you have a community now, right? Where people are actually doing this together. You guys are joining in. Where can people go find you, Fernando? Like if they want to connect with you, learn more about what you're doing. And before I do that real quick, I want to talk about this. Like Fernando and I didn't talk about this beforehand. We didn't talk about going into the level of detail. We spent 45 minutes talking about personal journeys, self-development, being a father, being a provider. These kinds of things right here are really important because you get to see the whole self of a person. Granted, it's, we've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes, but I like these kinds of conversations because they give more depth to the person. And not only that, but all these hardships and things that you've gone through, the losses and the rebounding and the fluctuating back and forth and the feeling of like inadequacies or failures. That's the most relatable piece of any type of content you and I are ever going to put out, ever. So I hope everybody that's listening and watching this right now, and you as well, like get a chance to kind of sit back and hear these things and really understand. I feel like anybody that builds anything is always going to have hardships, and there's always layers to those hardships. And a lot of it starts when you have a family and all those things that you want to provide, you want to do things, but there's also underlying feelings that people have, and those can be negative and they can come back in different ways. And I think that this conversation really layered complexities of being a human, but also how simple being human actually is, and how being able to be aware enough to see these things and to be able to push past them. That's a strong place to be, man. So I'm really excited for your future. I'm really excited for what you've been able to build. And not to toot your own horn anymore, but when I watched you with content back in 2022, 2021, I always knew that you're going to do something like credible, that you had the time and energy to do it. I didn't put the time in enough to tell you that, but I'm here now to like, dude, you can do whatever you want. Like you can create and build whatever your limitations are in your head are going to keep you where you're at. And you're now starting to like level past. And I love that, dude.
Dude, that's a lot of love. Thank you. Thank you, man. That's really, really positive. Thank you. Whew, that's awesome, man. Like, that's so good. Do you mind if I speak some of that positiveness to the people, to the listeners?
Yeah, go for it.
I want to pass it through. Dude, there are hands down people listening that are in some of the toughest moments that they're at. And for me, what really got me through the toughest moments is going back to you, like it's expected. You're where you're in it. If you're suffering, if you're in the hardest times right now, whatever it is, it could be personal, it could be familial, it could be business, it could be money. Like if you don't stop, you're doing it right. That is the right path. The path of suffering, the path of pain, like that is the path. You have to just survive to get through it. And you're month to month or you're week to week or your day to day. And you just I would tell myself, Fernando, you just need to survive one more month. It was just that, dude. And then but being ready, to your point, I was ready to endure that for 10 years. I was ready. My mindset was, I'm ready for this for 10 years. Give it to me. I will endure.
Yeah. You said something earlier. I want to make sure I hit it because I wrote it down. I didn't say anything. You talked about starting over. You're like, I had to start over again. Isn't there something beautiful about starting over?
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking you, like, isn't there something beautiful about starting over?
When you start over, and my mindset was ready to leave it where it was and start over without carrying that, absolutely. If you start over without carrying the weight, the stuff on my shoulders, the stuff on my back, the stuff in my head, I can just put it all down and leave it behind me and step forward. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's something beautiful in starting over and trying to figure things out again and continuing to build, and having that loss of, because I've always felt like like I lost my dad, and like that was really hard for me. But that was like I had to go through that to get here. Like I had to endure those things. I had to feel what it felt like to have loss. And honestly, I feel like that's where that's where the most growth happens. It's being in that uncomfortable situation. It's being uncomfortable. It's, damn, I got to talk to my mother-in-law and father-in-law about their money that they lost. Like that's growth. Like it really, really is. But yeah, man, that's pretty powerful. What you just said right now remind me of, have you ever watched the movie Up in the Air with George Clooney?
No.
Where he like fires
now you're
people
going to
all the
make me want to check it out. But
Go
go ahead.
watch that. He talks about, he's a public speaker and he has this backpack, and he's like, imagine your life with a backpack. You feel the straps on your shoulders. You got the weight of your family on there, and it's digging into your shoulders. Like I don't know the whole thing, but
Yeah.
he talks about unpacking his backpack, like unpacking that bag, and like getting back to like that stable position where like, okay, I can handle this weight. It's not digging into my shoulders anymore. And I was like, I really, really resonated with what you just said right now, because I feel like there's a enormous weight that gets lifted off you when you're able to let those things go and you just start from the ground up again.
That's right.
Fernando, where can people find you, man?
Instagram at It's Fernando Corona. That's it. Just like Instagram is my one main thing. I definitely want to get started on YouTube, but I want to focus. I don't want to get spread too thin. So that's it. Just at It's Fernando Corona. Would love to connect with you guys.
Awesome. Fernando, this has been one of my favorite discussions that I've had on this podcast, the longest one I've done so far. And you heard it, folks. You heard it from Fernando. He's said it all. He's been through the trenches, came out of them, and is now thriving and getting his mind in the right position to continue to grow, shedding his old version of himself and creating the new one that he needs to become. So, Fernando, super excited. All your information is going to be in the show notes. Appreciate you so much, man, and hope you guys can not only like this episode, but share this information with somebody else that you feel may be going through a difficult time, other men that potentially may have these same kind of things that are going on. I think these things are important right here to talk about, because not only they're around all the time, but I feel like a lot of people carry this weight, just like we were talking about earlier, and don't necessarily talk about it. So this would be a great way for somebody to hear that. So share this with people you love and care about. This is a fantastic episode, man. I appreciate you, Fernando.
Thank you, Jesse. Later, guys.
Thank you for listening to the JV podcast. I'm Jesse Vasquez, your host. I appreciate you for listening. And if you could do me a huge solid, go like and subscribe to this. This helps us tremendously. And as always, thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful rest of your day.